you put everything you've got into the land. It's about heritage, hard work, and the promise of a good harvest. We understand that commitment. Our precision aerial application saves you valuable time, giving you more hours back to spend with the ones who matter most. We help you maximize yields and protect your crops, season after season. Advanced technology, efficient coverage, and a dedication to your success. Bradley Air Spray. Precision mapping and professional application. Trust the experts to protect your yield.
Hi, I'm Barry McKeegan at Denham Chrysler Jeep. You might remember me from such commercials as No Bull Sale or Spin to Win. Well, I'm back, and so is the brand new 2026 Jeep Cherokee with an incredible driving range of over 800 kilometers on a single tank. And you don't have to plug it in. The all-new Cherokee offers more room, outstanding safety features, including standard active driving assist and unsurpassed in-class towing. See and drive the all-new 2026 Jeep Cherokee today. We'd love to see you, and here at Denham Chrysler, we're ready to help you now and for every mile down the road.
Local people. Local news and events. Local sports. Local matters. For all things Lloydminster and area, this is Live with Kurt Price.
Well, welcome to Live with Kurt Price, presented by Harris Electric. Celebrate Julymas with Harris Electric. Save on permanent and decorative lighting for your home, cabin, acreage, or business. Book your summer installation by July 31st using promo code KURT and get an extra 5% off. And you'll also be able to enjoy holiday displays, game day colors, and special occasions year-round. Call Harris Electric today. Paul Richer is the chair of the Lloydminster District Health Advisory Council, and he's here today to talk to us about the findings of the Lloydminster Health Service Needs Assessment Report, which were released on June 25th. Golfers are being invited to hit the links next month in support of a local family. Fairways for a Cure, Maddie's Classic, is going to be held on August 5th at Rolling Green Fairways in Lloydminster, with all the proceeds supporting the Todd family as Maddie continues her fight against brain cancer. The event features an 18-hole four-person scramble with registration at 9 a.m. and at 10 a.m. a shotgun start. Golfers can register individually for $150 or as a foursome for $550 with dinner included. And dinner-only tickets are also available for $50, and the day will feature a silent auction. There's hole-in-one prizes. There's also an opportunity to, of course, give back to Maddie. To register your team today, call or text 780-870-1381. You're invited to get a first look at Little Bear's Den Child and Youth Advocacy Center tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. A special sneak peek event takes place tomorrow at the Sexual Assault Center at 5011 49th Avenue in Lloydminster. You'll have the opportunity to tour the new facility, meet the staff and board of directors, and learn more about the programs and services that they offer. SwiftNet will also be on site hosting a barbecue from 11:30 to 1. Donna Reed with Little Bear Child and Youth Advocacy Center told us how this program is unique and helps. The Lloydminster Auto Club is inviting all classic car enthusiasts and the community to Lions Park this Saturday for their specialty vehicle show. Vehicle registration runs from 9 until noon, with the show open until 4 p.m. Expect everything from vintage cars to muscle cars. Triple S Concession and Sugar Shack will also be on site with food, while Area 51 Entertainment will provide the music throughout the day. For more information, contact Dave at 587-217-4292. We were excited to deliver cupcakes through Cupcakes for Caregivers to Dr. Han Bayek and the staff at Capstone Dental and Implant Center on Thursday. Dr. Bayek and his team clearly combine exceptional dental care with genuine compassion, and it was great to be able to say thank you on behalf of one of their customers. Cupcakes for Caregivers celebrates local caregivers who go above and beyond to make a difference in the lives of others. We're proud to partner with Lloydminster Sobeys and Umbrella Marketing and Design to present Cupcakes for Caregivers. So if you know someone who deserves to be recognized, email your nomination to livewithkurtprice@gmail.com. When disaster strikes, restoring your home is only part of their job. Restoring your peace of mind matters just as much to them. At BioClean Disaster Services, they know you're not just dealing with water damage or flooding. You're dealing with one of the most stressful days of your life. And that's why the team at BioClean Disaster Services are going to listen and explain every step of the way and treat your home and business with respect and help you get your life back. BioClean Disaster Services, 1-833-246-8326. We'll take a break here on Live with Kurt Price, presented by Harris Electric, and be right back with Paul Richer.
Home, it's where people look out for each other. It's where we live, where we work, and it's where we choose to raise our families. For over 75 years, Harris Electric has been more than just a contractor. We've been your neighbors, so when you need us, we look out for you. We show up fast and do the job right. We're in the stands, we're in the schools, we power this community. Because here in Lloydminster, it's our home too.
At Jason Arden Associates Cooperators, we're proud to be a top-rated local insurance company that offers flexible solutions and expert advice for all your insurance and investment needs. We'll work with you to tailor your insurance specific to your needs, and we offer investment advice that always puts you first. At Cooperators, one of our core values is to give back to the communities that we live in. Thanks to the support of our clients in Lloydminster and area, in 2023, Jason Arden Associates has donated $40,000 to local nonprofits, charities, students, athletes, and other special events. How does your insurance company support our community?
At Lloydminster and District Co-op, membership matters more. Because being part of a co-op means you're connected to something bigger than yourself. From long-held legacy by those who built our communities, to people you call family, friends, and neighbors. When you're a Lloyd Co-op member, you're an owner in a local business that prides itself on purpose alongside profit. You earn cash back, you help support causes that matter most, and you're building a better way of life for the next generation. Membership matters more.
A good night's sleep starts with the right mattress, and you'll find a great selection at Border City Furniture. From plush to firm and everything in between, we carry quality mattresses to fit your comfort level and budget. Looking at a new bedroom set? Paired with a new mattress. Updating your guest room? Start with a new mattress. Just tired of waking up sore? It might be time for a new mattress. And while you're here, browse our selection of sectionals, sofa sets, dining furniture, and recliners. For better sleep and quality Canadian-made furniture, visit Border City Furniture, your locally owned furniture store in downtown Lloydminster.
Superior Water specializes in nothing but water. And with over 23 years in the business, they're proud and confident that their water and their service is superior. For iron filters, water softeners, reverse osmosis distillers, chlorine removal, and H2S odor removal, give Superior Water a call. 780-875-6636 or stop and see them at their 57th Avenue location right beside Sheepskin Loft, and stay hydrated with pure, clean water. I drink Superior Water because I like the taste, and after all, it is superior water. Well, pleased to welcome in the chair of the Lloydminster District Health Advisory Council. Mr. Paul Richer is joining us here today to discuss the findings of the Lloydminster Health Service Needs Assessment report, which were released back on June 25th. And they've been causing quite a stir, I would say, in the community. And Paul has read the 4 pages of the report. I've read the 4 pages of the report. And Paul, my first question is, what was your initial reaction when you saw the report?
Well, the initial reaction was, is that it? And a little bit dumbfounded and shocked, frankly, because in some respects, I was expected to, have in hand the full report instead of this watered down version.
So that report was done back in 2025. And when I read the report, I wasn't sure exactly how it was done. It's not laid out for me. Am I missing something, or is there like, I don't know who they talk to other than some frontline workers.
Right.
I don't know where they got the information.
Right.
Am I wrong on this?
Well, like I just said, is that the 4 pages out of, I believe that the document, the full document, is between 180 and 200 and some pages. So this is a scrubbed down version. So of course, it leads to way more questions than answers. So I know that the consultant out of Vancouver did speak to myself. I'm fairly certain they talked to the mayor. And as it says in this little report, they obviously talked to the frontline managers and people higher up. And I assume in Alberta and obviously in Saskatchewan Health on what's going on in Lloydminster to be able to then derive all those pages. And our group has held 3 or 4 public meetings where both Alberta and Saskatchewan were invited, and they did come in with managers to answer questions. And the last one that we had, a lot of referencing, a lot of the hard questions asked by the public, and even myself, was, well, we're going to refer back to this study. Everything was hanging around this study.
Which was delayed.
Which was delayed. Now, I believe the consultant was probably done at December or January of 2026, but it took them this many months, 5 months, for the 2 provinces to get together. So there's no doubt they talked, because both their headings are in the back of this 4 pages to say, well, what are we going to tell the public? Because they're not smart enough to read the full document, and they're going to misconstrue too many things. So we don't trust them. So we're just going to give the public these 4 pages. That's the bottom line.
So that's why you think only 4 pages were released.
Well, I'm thinking the 4 pages are only released because the full document is not glowing. It's not saying, well, we're doing totally fine in Lloydminster. Verbally, Saskatchewan and Alberta have told us and told me and the mayor face to face that according to national standards, not provincial standards as far as the 2 provinces, but according to national standards, we have sufficient number, we meet or exceed national standards to the number of beds in the hospital and the number of long-term care spaces. That's according to the nation. Well, of course, when you compare yourself to the nation, we're probably doing a pretty good average, but they refuse to answer how we did against Lloydminster or Saskatchewan or Saskatchewan or Alberta. So it leads to way more questions. I mean, things disappeared from a 2013 report that were issues then, and I know for a fact were never resolved.
What are some of those?
Well, one of them that stands out is mental health stabilization beds. And this has nothing to do with alcohol treatment plants or facilities like the Thorpe. Yes, they have facilities to deal with mental health because but the regular folk that doesn't have an addiction problem necessarily, but certainly seems to find themselves in a crisis, whatever that might be postpartum issues, or could be just depression, could be all those things, cannot be addressed there. There's no one here other than you paying for a psychiatrist, if you can get to see one. There's a lot of referrals to online or a phone call, and those might be helpful, but most people probably need somebody face to face. We used to have a psychiatric nurse at the emergency ward in the hospital, and that disappeared years ago. And there's not even that service. All the nonprofits that end up with some of their clients, whatever it might be women in crisis or sexual assault that need some support, are referred to the hospital, and the hospital then have no ability to refer anywhere except drive yourself to St. Paul or have the police go to St. Paul because there's a space there, or there's a space in North Battleford, or whatever the outcome might be, but it's not good. So that's an area that just disappeared.
Okay, there's a section in here that suggests doing something with psychiatric patients when they walk into the hospital. However, I read it one way. Faye here read it another way. What do you read it? And is that the problem?
Well, it says to train the existing staff, physicians and existing staff, to strengthen their ability to manage psychiatric presentations. But a psychologist, a psychiatrist is years of training, whatever. So how much training we're talking about? It's probably really more so where can we refer people to? I mean, that's the training. I mean, how much training is a doctor going to have that's making his money doing ER? How much training is he or she going to do? So yes, it's going to be helpful, but it's still going to be a referral system. It's not a professional in there or have a place on the side where you can have a stabilization space. That's what I talked about in 2013, a stabilization area where you can sit quiet, you have some professional help and some other things going on. And that space could be used not only for that, but people who are waiting for beds or whatever. You're really just waiting in an ER for no good reason, where maybe you can be stabilized. It could be seniors that are what the Concerned Citizens Group called bed blockers. Well, we can't send them back to the facility that they came out of because now they've regressed, and now we got to wait weeks, and we're going to wait in the hospital until such time as we find a space that has more support for seniors. There's all kinds of spaces that we need for these things. Could be for respite, could be whatever. We don't have any of those, and it doesn't speak at all on any of that. That disappeared.
So the report also says that services are, and I apologize, I don't have the direct writing in front of me, but basically similar to other communities our size. That we have the same issues, we already have the same facility sort of thing, that basically things are running smoothly here as they are in other communities our size.
Yeah.
Within the province of, I take it, Saskatchewan.
Well, yeah. I mean, the 4 pages paints a picture that we're doing not too bad, and sure, we can do some improvements on 4. They've outlined 4 key areas, but those 4 key areas in the 4 pages that they felt that was safe enough to give to the public can apply anywhere. Can apply in Vegreville, can apply in Lethbridge, could apply in St. Paul, could apply anywhere. All of these things can apply anywhere in Canada. So it doesn't talk about true collaboration between the 2 provinces of how we can improve services to save people from being sent away or do other services elsewhere that causes problems. It adds to the non-transference of medical files. It adds to that issue where if you're being left here, well, the doctors have access to your files, but you get sent away. That's where added issues arise. So it doesn't speak to how we're going to add and improve between the 2 provinces enhanced services in a better way or in a clear way.
Is it just that we're on the border and we have to do 2 provinces that throws issues into our health system?
Well, that's the cusp of the whole thing, isn't it? Saskatchewan Health is the one who manages the whole system throughout the city, and Alberta sends money to Saskatchewan via Regina, and although it says they collaborate and talk, I think that they're just Alberta doesn't demand clarity as to where the money and how it's being spent. The last big win we had in Lloydminster was an Alberta-run program, which is renal dialysis. Saskatchewan is very quick to patting themselves on the back, on their back, to say, yeah, look at, but $6 million came from Alberta. And what Saskatchewan contributed was, well, here's the space and we won't charge you rent. They moved people out, and they spent a good amount of money to move people out to facilitate a building. But that's the beginning and the end of it. So that's not a pretty, it's like the bridge down east where Canada pays 100% and then we'll share 50% of the revenue with the states. It doesn't make any sense. There's not true collaboration with all the services. There's still a line in the sand, and it needs improvement.
I was expecting more about seniors and long-term care. Paul, were you expecting more about long-term care?
Well, I was expecting the full document. Before we wrap this up, the public should not accept, well, these 4 pages, that throw their hands up and say, well, there's nothing we can do. And there's absolutely a lot you can do. By being quiet, you're going to get what you deserve. You know, if you have anyone that gets sick or ends up with some problems with cancer or anything else that you need health services, don't come running to me if you stay quiet and accept these 4 pages. That's unacceptable. You paid, we all paid for this document. The last studies I had no trouble getting. Maybe they were old already, whatever, but I had no trouble getting them. These are, to me, public documents. I believe you're smart enough, Kurt, to read that document and come out with some pretty intelligent questions out of it. I'm sure you could misconstrue a couple of things, but that's where perhaps the mayor or people like myself or the concerned citizen group or people in the front lines could answer questions so you don't get misled as to what the study tells you. I had no trouble reading the last 2 studies and understanding them and where we sit.
So a lot of people have, when they've talked to me about this study, Paul, they've said it doesn't really say anything's going to change. It doesn't really say anything's going to be done. It has some recommendations, but there's no timeline or anything. How much of a concern is that?
Well, it's a huge concern. I mean, even if we receive the full document, you know, we still can't force the government to get together and make that happen. But where we found our successes is that we were able to glean out the top issues that might percolate on there, the top 3 things. When you talk to a minister, you can't confuse them. You can't go to them with more than 3 things because they're going to forget 4, 5, and 6. So you have to glean off and, okay, what does this current report really say? Here, this is so generic. There's actually 4 things, but these are very generic that can help anyone. These aren't necessarily a specific enhancement to a specific area to say, well, yeah, if we increase by this amount, this would work out really well. There's no capital planning around it. There's nothing. There's no real issues. So it really extends the timeline to which both governments can drag out what they'll do with Lloydminster. It's not fair and it's not right. We're in between, we're almost in the middle of the country, and in the middle of 2 large areas, Edmonton and Saskatoon forever. What an opportunity to serve so many people. So we don't have to send people away. We don't have to send seniors away 100 kilometers away that one spouse, you know, cannot go travel and visit them on a daily basis. That happens all the time, and it takes sometimes months and months, and sometimes never happens because the person dies because of loneliness and being around strangers. And that happens across the country, yes. But in our case, Saskatchewan refuses to invest more in long-term care space. It's been 50 spaces in Lloydminster since 1958, before I was born. They were probably ahead of their curve in 1958, before I was born, but they haven't added not a 1 bed. And there's 30 to 50 to 60 Saskatchewan people on the Alberta spaces in Lloydminster plugging up those things. So seniors in the Alberta side are sent away.
Is it designed that way, Paul? Like I'm asking, like if we had more spaces in Saskatchewan, would Saskatchewan residents be in Saskatchewan, Alberta residents be in Alberta? Does it matter in Lloydminster?
Well, and I'm a proponent. I mean, when I was in council and the mayor, you'll hear from there, we want to be thought of as one place.
Right.
You know, we're not twins that want to be disjointed. We want to be together. And the Chamber of Commerce has worked on a lot of things that we can do things together and everything else. That's where I think a lot of Lloydminster people would want to be. Show up anywhere and you're treated the same and everything else. And it's no different here. So I think that's what we're looking for, our services.
Would we have the same amount of services then, same amount of beds as someone our size?
Well,
if you combined Alberta and Saskatchewan?
The Concerned Citizens Group did a lot of work. They have a 2-page document and they did a lot of work and they did a lot of research. And they, you know, they said by 2035, that there would be a shortage of, I think, 150 beds in Lloydminster by that time. And yeah, there's probably an overarching huge, picture where, when you have the age group, the bubble, if you will, coming through the system, eventually now you might have empty buildings. But that's going to take a long time. During the meantime, people are suffering. So, there is some, the Lloydminster Concerned Citizens Group for Seniors Care did a lot of work, and they, all the data and the people they talked to, frontline workers, said, yeah, there's a shortage in Lloydminster. There absolutely is. So, yeah, we can sure use that, and Saskatchewan refuses to address it, and Alberta refuses to, show the account as to why this is happening.
So just as an example, if the longer report was released, it would be direct comparison to somebody our size. You'd be able to see both, one on one column, one in the other column. Here's the average. Here's Lloydminster. Or is that, am I being too simple?
Well, I know that the full study is data driven. So I know from my understanding, it's going to have charts and bubble diagrams and all that stuff. But because I haven't seen it yet, the advocacy is to get the document above the table instead of underneath the table. That's not the point, because if I obtain the document underneath the table, will Alberta and Saskatchewan listen to me rather than it's delivered on top of the table? And so,
do you think you'll get it?
Well, I know I can get it under the table. That's that I know, but that's not the point. The point is, for me to properly talk to somebody face to face, like Andrew Lagrange or Garth Roswell or MLA or whoever, how, if it comes from underneath the table, then where'd you get that information from? It doesn't exist.
Right.
So it's not right. And that's why I say that it has to be delivered above the table.
Okay, Paul has mentioned a couple of things that I want to ask him about. First, we're going to ask him, is there anything in this report that he sees as beneficial for the community? He also mentioned that he kind of needs your help to get the document released. So we'll talk about how to do that. And then we'll wrap up by asking Paul if he sees that there will be anything done from this report. We'll take a short break and be right back here on Live with Kurt Price, presented by Harris Electric.
Summer is here, and that means campouts, cookouts, backyard barbecues, and bacon breakfast. And when it comes to feeding your family ribs or fillers, just great tasting steaks, juicy burgers, tender pork chops, and some of the best smokies you'll ever roast over the fire. Plus, delicious beef jerky for those summer road trips. We're family owned and operated. Diamond 7 Meats, serving local families with quality products and the protein you need to fuel those busy summer days.
I'm Brian Zinchuk of PipelineOnline.ca. I used to be a pipeline. CA provides comprehensive coverage of light oil, heavy oil, lithium, helium, power production including coal, wind, solar, geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear. There's a lot happening in Saskatchewan's energy sector, and Pipeline Online is there for all of it. No one else comes even close.
How can you help support the oil and gas industry and jobs in Western Canada? The answer is closer than you think. Sell your scrap metals to PWM Steel. PWM sells scrap iron to Evraz, located in Regina. Evraz's #1 customer is the energy sector, building pipes and plates for the oil and gas industry. PWM Steel is your locally owned metal recycler and steel service center in the area. Plus, they're a strong supporter of the community. PWM Steel, your top steel supplier for Alberta and Saskatchewan for 40 years. It's more than just taxes at LNA CPA. Assurance, accounting, retirement planning, estate planning, business consulting, financial consulting, farm program support, and bookkeeping. But yes, there is always taxes. The team at LNA CPA is committed to helping you achieve your best results and will be there to assist you every step of the way. LNA CPA, with offices in Provost, Vermilion, and Lloydminster.
Thinking about moving but waiting for your home to sell? You may not have to. At Wellings, your next chapter doesn't need to wait for a sold sign. Move into Wellings of Lloydminster this summer and save up to $6,000 while your home sale is underway. You'll have the comfort of knowing your new home is ready when you are. Why put life on hold? Wellings, the right move right now. Visit wellingsoflloydminster.com for more details. Paul Richer is here. He is the chair of the Lloydminster Advisory Council, Advisory Health Council. And we've been talking about the health advisory report that was released back in June 25th, I believe, was the day that the report was released. Paul, was there anything in the report that you liked, that you saw, you went, this could really help Lloydminster? This is, because there are some things in here that it recommends.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's not a lot I liked. You know, I've been kind of in this role for over 5 years now, and I'm no medical background or anything else, but I've dug enough to say, well, this means nothing. This watered down version means there's no real help. What I was able to find out for sure was in Lloydminster, and I keep telling the managers of both health systems that in Lloydminster, the schools figured out between the two provinces that in Lloydminster, whether you added on or built a new school on either side, both provinces opened up their checkbook, paid for the shot, or if you had to fix the roof, you know, it was, I'm going to say, it's roughly a 60-40 split. They had that figured out for decades. I think ever since I moved in Lloyd, and 40 years ago. But in Lloydminster, Alberta doesn't have an agreement with Saskatchewan to fix the roof or add on to the hospital or anything. There might be a percentage from the $41 million that's being sent for maybe maintenance or something with operating. But it's mostly operating, keeping the lights on and everything else, and serving the Albertans on the surrounding semicircle. But you know, there is no agreement to add on, so that's not right or fair either. You know, if I was Saskatchewan, I would be resisting to add on to a hospital because I'm paying the full shot, and yet 60% of the use is possibly Albertans. So there's something wrong there. And you won't glean that on this report, but fundamentally, that speaks to me that there's no real strong collaboration. That means that's a separation.
When you look at this report and you say to people, I want to see the full report, and you kind of say, we can't just take this at its face value, what do you want people to do?
Well, it's a call to action once again. To get the report agreed to get done, it was a little bit of a letter campaign, and it went out, and we were successful. Since then, we thought, well, letter campaign seems to work a little bit, so we had a letter campaign subsequent to that one about Saskatchewan to replace the Jubilee home, and it went nowhere.
You feel like that was just dead in the water?
Saskatchewan has dug their heels in. But no real strong reasons to why, because it conflicts us to the information we're getting from the Concerned Citizen Group that it should be replaced, that there was a plan in 2013 that right about now, the end of life or end of use is about now. Well, you know, it takes 5 years to plan and to design and to build, so It's not too late, but there's nothing afoot about that. So what I want people to do, and it took me moments, was to, you know, obviously, Garth Roswell on the Alberta side, your MLA, and your MLA in Saskatchewan, Colin Young, yes, they're easy to find, they're easy to contact, and to say, hey, we want the full report. I believe we're smart enough to get it, and that we need people who are interested in advocating to get their hands on it, because I have a hard time coming up with a plan of action. But prior to that, people, it took me moments to go look up who is the Minister of Health in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Is Jeremy Cockrell in Saskatchewan, and Andrea Lagrange, who comes out of Red Deer, is the minister. And phone numbers and emails, addresses are right there. And I need the public to start going in. Spend 10 minutes. That's all it'll take you. You don't need to be complicated, saying release the full document. we deserve it, we paid for it. And that's the call to action on the listening public.
I've heard some things from people saying they're not convinced that this report, I don't want to say tells the truth, but they're questioning that. If the report came out, Paul, and it was that everything's fine and dandy, how surprised would you be? If you got the full report and it basically said what this says,
right?
How shocked would you be?
I wouldn't be shocked, because I know some people who've seen it from under the table, and it's not necessarily glowing reports. I think it shows, well, I know it shows, it's not, I think. I happen to know that it shows that it's not glowing report. Why do you think the government doesn't want to have it in your midst? If it was a glowing report, they would be more than happy to give it to you. But I know for a fact it reveals the shortfalls in Lloydminster that I predicted. And it's hard to identify exactly all of the shortfalls. We talked about mental health support and a couple of long-term care spaces perhaps, but there are others. It stands to a fact that there's 350 to 400 babies born every year for the last 40 years. Not all those babies do well. A lot of them have to be sent away. Now, can you imagine being new parents and now your baby is sent to Edmonton or Saskatoon or wherever it is? We don't hear those stories, but we should have a pediatrics division in there with all those babies being born, and there's no shortage in sight to having more of those babies keep coming. That's been the last 40 years, there's been that many babies. So I can go on and on.
What would a city be compared to us? Like, what would a city the same size as us that we would compare to?
Well, I think Lethbridge would be similar.
Would they have a pediatrics?
Well, I don't know. That takes a lot of work and effort. I mean, I'm an unpaid volunteer,
right.
And I have binders and binders. I on just a lot of things, and to get the data is not easily found.
Would that be in the report? Would that be found in this report?
No,
because it says we're similar to other.
No, I don't know. It's not necessarily comparing to, I don't think, other municipalities. It's just covering. I think there is some benchmarks. I think, but beyond national, I think there are some benchmarks as to the provinces, Alberta or Saskatchewan. But I don't know. Like I say, I can get the document, but I that I don't know. But
what are the biggest challenges we have here, and does it address any of it?
The one that percolates to the very top, is medical file sharing, where tests still constantly get redone. If you have blood tests on the Alberta side at the private clinic, whatnot, the hospital can't somehow read them or connect them, or don't have trained enough people to figure it out. So they end up doing it themselves. The lab in the hospital is archaic. They actually send a lot of the tests, not right here. They send them off to Saskatoon and inundate Saskatoon with tests. So then there's a waiting period. There's people who end up being flown for surgeries in Edmonton that end up, we forgot to send the files, and a lot of rigmarole to be able to get the files so the surgeons can deal with taking out a heart or fixing something up. It goes on and on and on, where imaging is not transferable, and it's redone, and again, time is spent again, and expenses for both departments. That percolates to the very top.
So, back years ago when I worked for the radio station, I remember hearing a story about this is being solved, Paul. And then, so my wife and I had a situation where we were thinking that had been completely resolved. And then all of a sudden we get to a point where we're at an appointment and they don't have the tests that were done in Lloyd. And we're going, but I thought this was solved. I thought this was taken care of. I could swear that years ago, the provinces came together and said, we're going to solve this issue.
Yeah, I think.
Am I dreaming that happened?
Yeah, you're dreaming.
It never happened.
I think there's been no. The only advancement is finally Alberta had to rewrite some legislation. So they passed the law, but it's now taken about 3.5 to 4 years for the bureaucrats to write the legislation, and that's only been finished recently.
Okay.
4 years. So nothing's been done. There's nobody working on this because you had to write the legislation, so all the verbiage in there to give the ability. But now there's still 0 systems built. Now you have to have the wherewithal, and both provinces will cite privacy and everything else in there. And yeah, that probably makes some sense. But right now there's a pilot project that allows about maybe 2 or 3 surgeons or doctors and a couple of pharmacists to experiment to see how this file transfer or looking at files, but it's very, very specific and very, very limited. It's not broad-based at all. So I've been working as and advocating for a pilot project in Lloydminster to get, okay, now we have legislation in Alberta that allows it. Apparently Saskatchewan had the legislation that allowed it. So now we need a pilot project, and I think I've got the 2 provinces thinking about it, about in Lloydminster, can we get a couple of people in here to understand all the issues that you might have had, and the people who have tests, here and there, and every little routing, and is there ways that we can solve this, and what are all the scenarios? That doesn't exist as to all the scenarios to how file transfers of all sorts don't occur. How can you fix things if no one document captures it all? So I'm trying to get that going to at least then say whether it gets released or not, but at least it's captured someplace, because it's not captured anywhere.
So I've had people tell me to avoid that and to get around some of that, you should go to Maidstone or you should go to Vermilion. Do you hear the same thing?
Well, yeah.
It's easier for me just to go to one of those.
Yeah. And I mean, I'd hate to say it, but we should plug those two hospitals solidly, plug them full up. So as we have those communities having outcries, we should quit going to the ER in Lloydminster and quit those services and just go to those facilities. 5 years ago, I was the last guy to say it, but that's the only way you'll get attention, is having other communities saying, well, that's not right and that's not fair. Well, I guess you get what you sow.
You don't really want people to go, do you?
Well, if it's important to your life and it's an issue, yeah, I think it's safer to go.
Wow, that's a statement. When you look at this, what do you expect to come out of it, Paul? Like, there's recommendations. It says there'll be more studying done by ministers. What do you expect? Because when I read that, I have to be completely honest, when I read that, I look at that and go, we're never going to hear from this report again.
Yeah.
That's my take.
If the public, your listening public and others do nothing, you're going to get more of the same, and it might even regress. Because, there's no point me being involved anymore. I mean, what am I to do? If everybody else gives up, well, I guess maybe I should give up. Is that the attitude we want? Because that's what you're going to get.
It clearly states too that the provinces do things completely different, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. They're both the big machines. They're both high expense areas in both provinces. And in Alberta, it's a behemoth compared to Saskatchewan. And they all have issues within themselves. I mean, file sharing within Saskatchewan, just being in the middle of Saskatchewan, there are a lot of their systems that don't talk to each other. There's a lot of very archaic things that exist there that affect the Albertans on the one side. And conversely, Alberta keeps changing the 4 pillars now, and they keep changing in your lifetime. How many times have you heard that it's a wholesale change in Alberta Health Services? We don't even know if it's called Alberta Health Services. I mean, it's so complicated that that where do you go? No wonder things fall apart because there's so much bureaucracy in each one of them. How are they supposed to get along?
Right. What am I forgetting? Am I forgetting anything, Paul?
Well, I think we can beat the horse there. I guess talking about a coffee row is one thing, but the call to action is, again, contacting and saying there's very little for this whole region. We're not talking Lloydminster, this region, this whole surrounding area of 100,000 people should say, yes, release this document. I think that's the bottom line, because otherwise we don't know what to ask.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we talked about a little bit about mental health there, and I do want to point out that Pathways to Wellness is going to be here on Thursday. We're going to be talking to Integrated Health. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me directly. I should have done that. But Integrated Therapies here in Lloydminster, they have run a pilot project, and now they have Pathways to Wellness, which is welcoming in patients again almost every day of the week, but Tuesdays. And we're going to find out more about the Pathways program and it being back and how it's helping alleviate some of the stress at the Lloydminster Hospital and who's helping with Pathways to Wellness. So that's coming up on Thursday. We're also going to be talking some fun stuff. We've got the Vermilion Fair folks in on Wednesday, so we're looking forward to that. And we're going to be talking about the Indian Relay races tomorrow, right here on Live with Kurt Price, presented by Harris Electric.